Good evening. I'm doing this random live talk because I think it's just so important how to learn to be a servant leader. So, this is just on the back end of a very quick article I've just launched, which I wrote myself, by the way. I class myself as a servant leader because I love helping people. Um, those of you who don't know me, basically, I'm a former teacher and I lost my career as a teacher through my condition called need non-epileptic attack disorder, which is a rare type of epilepsy. So I didn't know what to do with my life after that, which is 5 years ago now, ish, and I just started to, try to find a job somewhere. Tried getting into L&D. They didn't really welcome me there in that industry. Not so much now because I'm a thought leader, but back then I was not known anywhere and couldn't get a job. So I started to build content on LinkedIn, slowly but surely. It resonated with people, and then I become what I am now, which is a growing expert in several different fields, mainly emotional intelligence and leadership, and quite a few other domains. But I get my happiness through serving others and creating and smiling uh, to inspire people, because I've been hurt, I've been abused, I've been sexually abused, sadly, when I was young. Um, I worked through all that. Um, the epilepsy is more difficult to live with, believe it or not, compared to the sexual abuse, which was quite easy in the end to deal with, because what I did is I went to counselling. I've had a lot of counselling over the years, and that really helped me to just, you know, heal the pain, cry, and stop blaming myself. Anybody that's been through abuse will know that, sadly, you go through that stage of punishing yourself, and I did that, and I thought it was my fault, and I was a child. But you wrestle with yourself, and it's kind of really difficult. But sometimes in life we've got to be brave, and I've learnt that. Um, Not necessarily take risks, but just believe, have hope. Yeah, a lot of people ask me, Steve, how have you gotten through all the things you've been through? I've been through sexual abuse, violent abuse, racism, many different kinds of forms of trauma, and it's one word comes down to hope. Okay, I'm not going to preach to you here today, but I am a born again Christian, and yes, my faith is, the number one reason why I am a servant leader. I'm here to serve God, and through that process, I hopefully be happy. But to be a servant leader in terms of business and your life and your personal development is so fruitful, because you learn to stop being greedy. There's a big thing in this world about entitlement and how people want to become millionaires. You've got to look at the war in Ukraine, the awful thing that's happening over there. You've got one leader who's definitely not a servant leader, and he is exercising greed for power, land, and people have died, are dying, are continuing to die, and it's awful. I mean, we've had wars go on in this world for many, many years, and the human heart is, it's weak because it deceives ourselves. We think that we're good people, but in actual fact, we're never going to be perfect, and because our hearts will always deceive us, we're always going to want more things, more money, more power, even though we feel I've got enough in this world. No, it's my money. No, I'm not going to help you. There is so many things in this world that we're just, impossible of, on our own at least, to, give to someone and say, look, this is yours. You ain't got to thank me. I'm here to help. I'm not talking about charity donations. I'm not talking about starting a charity. I'm talking about how you live from one day to the next. What is your purpose in life, which a lot of people find difficult, and I've been there myself many times, even now. But I know that through being a servant leader and serving others and understanding that I have something to give, so you've got to subjectively look at yourself and say to yourself, right, I've got value in this world, I've got skills, let me offer them to people, whether that's being a teacher of some kind, a writer, starting a business, just being a father, a mother. That in itself is being a servant leader. And I think there's certain traits of a good servant leader. They are humility, which is humbleness, being humble. You don't have to shout out saying, oh, I want all the recognition because I'm a servant leader. I'm not really a big fan of awards and that kind of stuff. And recently I got an email from LinkedIn saying that they might give me one of the top contributors, which is a great, it's a great achievement. I like it when people, tell me thank you and that, but I'm not really here to get the glory because it doesn't belong to me. And I think that's the fundamental problem. We all want recognition. And recognition is great when someone says thank you. But if you want recognition for doing things for others, that's when I think we fall down and greed happens. So my first message to you is we need to learn to be grateful. And that's so important because in life we get one life on this earth, and we get different things happen to us. We get different emotions that we go through. Excuse me a moment, I'm going to load up on the old fluid. This is a military bottle, by the way. I'm a former reservist, and yeah, I just got that to hydrate and be healthy, which I think is important. And that does help you be a servant leader. So, going back to what I said, you need to learn to be grateful as a servant leader. And that's really, really, really important because there's too much greed in this world. Far, far too much. The war in Ukraine, like I said, demonstrates that. You've got Saddam Hussein, all the old previous leaders that wanted more power, and many lives were lost through that. So that's important. Now, how do you learn to be grateful? I think consciously and unconsciously it's something we all wrestle with because mental health is real, and sometimes when things go wrong or someone hurts us, we're angry, and we're allowed to feel anger as a human. However, when we use that anger to fuel our greed for something because somebody hurt us, I'm not going to help that person because I was hurt, I don't care about people no more. It's very easy for us not to help someone in need because we feel we've been hurt by someone else, not necessarily the person that needs the help in the first place. And the thing is, sometimes we want to give to someone but we expect it back, and that's where you fall down as a servant leader, because the good servant leaders that I know and recognise in my personal life are those that are willing to step forward and help and expect nothing in return. And that is a real good servant leader. And just moving on to mental health, I've got 6 minutes left, so all Steve's talks are under 15 minutes. You need to reflect, so that's number one when you're talking about mental health and how you align mental health to become a servant leader, because you need good mental health, but no one's Superman. So I've got feelings, I've got emotions. I live with a quite difficult condition. I have seizures happen to me, which I manage fairly well, but it comes and goes. So I need to reflect on, for instance, I had a seizure 2 months ago. I reflect back and look, okay, that was an isolated seizure that happened to me because I was working myself too hard. And we all know that burnout is real. and that's important. So we need to look at real conditions, like, for instance, today I've been polling about imposter syndrome, which there isn't really that much concrete research out there, so I'm going to have to unlock that. And that's the feeling of self-doubt that we don't belong, we don't deserve that job, the promotion, or who we are in life. And I think more often than not we all go through that process. It doesn't make us bad humans, it just makes us actual good humans in our own conscious mind, because we are actually asking ourselves what is our purpose. And there's so many variables around that. So learn to reflect is probably one of the most important skills that I've learned through my mental health journey, that has allowed me to become a really good servant leader. Now, I don't class myself as a really good servant leader. I'm only repeating what others have said or told me. Say, Steve, yes you are. Your smile tonight on LinkedIn, a lovely lady said, look, your smile is so great. Continue to help and serve others around that. And it was so nice to hear those words. So I thank that kind lady on LinkedIn for that comment. That was very nice. Learn to accept failure. Failure is the art of experience and being happy. I think this week and last week I shared an article that I wrote, or put together at least, about actual experience and learning through failure and experience. And happiness doesn't come in a one big bucket. It's snapshots, it's micro bursts of happiness, because happiness comes and goes. And I think it's only after reflection and learning that we get to experience happiness. Now, we can't be happy 24/7 every second of the day, but guess what? The more you step in the ring of serving others, you will get to have those chances of being more happy a lot more than you think. So learn through experience, don't be scared, and experiment with projects that might be a volunteer role, or starting a business, whether it's for profit or not for profit. If you're trying to give something good to the world and your intent is genuine, people will see that in your marketing. So one day or the next you will probably be successful. It doesn't mean you're going to be a millionaire, but it might mean that you're going to experience happiness, because you know what, you're starting to explore your real you. And we've all got that inner capability of being a good servant leader. So my last two final points are: check in daily with yourself as you explore servant leadership, because once you step in the ring of serving others, whether it be on social media like me as a thought leader, or a successful business, whatever you're doing, you need to maintain yourself, and sometimes you've got to take a break, and that's really, really important. So when I say check in on yourself daily, what I mean by that is saying to yourself, right, okay, how am I feeling today? Am I okay? Am I working too hard? I feel quite down. Why am I feeling down? So you're consciously asking yourself how you're feeling, and that's about the wider scope of emotional intelligence, which I won't go into tonight because it's just not enough time. And my last point really is going on the back end of that, is as a servant leader, to be a good servant leader, now you've found your mark in this world, is to take breaks. That's so important, because I've hit burnt out personally more times than I can remember, and I think it's so important that we do take breaks, because we can only do so much in one day, in 1 week, in one lifetime. So we need to slow things down, we need to take breaks, we need to recognise that we need to sometimes pat ourselves on the back for a job well done. You're not always going to get praise, you might get some bad feedback, you might even get some hate, I don't know. But if your intent is there to help and serve others, and you have a genuine offering, then that's more important. So I'm going to end it there and say thank you for joining me. Being a servant leader is difficult, it's hard, but it's so worth it, because your mental health will never be the same again. You'll live happier and better and more fruitful. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye. Goodbye, wherever you are.